Mr. H here, and this is a video for week 5 of Purdue University's Special Education Summer Course, EDPS 51500. So this video is going to focus on choosing a behavioral recording tool. So kind of going through how you make the decision on, what sort of tool you want, and maybe even describing those a little bit. So obviously first you got to start off with your behavior, and you need to have an operational definition of that behavior, right? So this is where you've defined the behavior in, maybe a single word, single phrase, very clear definition. You're going to use action verbs to explain it, and you want this operational definition to encompass the entire behavior, but to be kind of specific enough to be recordable, right? So that way anybody can pick it up, read this definition, and know what they're recording for. So first, when you're deciding, you're going to kind of look at what is your concern here. So is there a temporal dimension or numerical dimensions to this behavior, right? So temporal is over time, whereas numerical is going to be looking at the frequency or the number of occurrences, right? So on the numerical side, we can have 3 ways that we can record this. So we have event recording, interval recording, and time sampling, right? So just kind of to give a brief kind of example of those. So event recording, so this is literally just tallying the frequency or the counts of the behavior, right? So whatever your observation period is, you're going to record each time that happens. Next, we have that interval recording. So this is where you set an interval of time, and then you're going to divide maybe that interval even into shorter intervals, and you're going to make counts within that interval. So each section of time, each of your divisions of time, you're going to either have, like a plus or minus or whatever symbol you're using that either says, yes, this behavior occurred, no, it didn't. So you're not going to get every occurrence of the behavior, but you're going to see how it happens over time or within that interval. And then next we have time sampling. So time sampling kind of splits off from an interval recording because it's almost the same thing, except whenever you reach the end of that time interval, then you take your sampling. So whereas the other one's happening continuously during, the other one is, let's say you have a timer, every 10 minutes it's going to go off, then you're going to look at it and you're going to make that check mark or whatnot if you're seeing the behavior, right? So it kind of looks at what kind of numerical data are you wanting here, right? Do you want that event recording? Do you need to see every time the behavior happens? Maybe it's not happening, maybe it's happening, so many times within an occurrence that having that is kind of redundant, right? It could be pushing into temporal, but if you're still wanting to get that event data, then you might look at that interval or that time sampling. So next, there goes my note sheet. Well, one second. There's my notes. All right. So then moving into that temporal data, right? So this is where we're looking at the time. So maybe we're looking at the duration, things like that. We have kind of 2 things. We have a latency recording and a duration recording. So that duration, like I was saying, this is where we're going to be evaluating how long these occurrences are happening. If we're having, if they flee the room, we might be recording how long they're gone for until we can get them back and on task. Off-task behavior, the same thing. We're looking at how long does it take for them, how long are they exhibiting that off-task behavior, whatever it may be, that disruptive behavior. Latency recording is a little bit different than duration. So here we're recording the amount of time between a stimulant and the response. So how they, or a stimulus, sorry, and the response, right? So this could be, you give them a correction and how long it takes them to actually perform whatever it is. So you're measuring the latency in between. So sort of like the lag in a video game. So that kind of gives you a breakdown of how to use them. So like I said, you have numerical sampling methods. So that's your event, your interval, and your time sampling. And then you have that more temporal, which is the latency and the duration. Regardless, they're all going to give you a wealth of data. It just depends on, how specific you need it to be. Some of those are a little more broad than others, and you can really tailor them to the needs of the student. A student might have several different behaviors, and you might even use various methods for the same student for different target behaviors. So once again, you need to go back to your operational definition. So yeah, thank you for listening.